you rode in your Volvo, and everybody's going to get to know Benny during this podcast.
Yep.
But you rode in your Volvo, and what a unique car! And you just finished its first drag and drive.
Yeah. So the car and me have been to, I think, 31 or 32 drag and drives doing media, but this was our first actually competing in it. So that was a good time. We were able to finish. Did okay. Didn't do spectacular in the class. It was a DYO. It's a stick car, and so it's like you have to dial, and I was not close, but I had a great time. We had a great time out there. We got to do some ministry and just had a great event. So yeah,
that's what it's all about, having a good time.
Yeah, and finishing. You don't always you don't have to win. Finishing the thing with your car in working order is good. So
yeah, normally drag and drives we have about 20% that actually drop out before the end of the event.
That's a lot.
Between 15 and 30.
Yeah.
Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" It was Matthew 14:31.
Hey guys, welcome back to Faith Family Cars Podcast. And today we have got another special guest. And this guy, I just happened to stumble across him on Instagram. And when I started watching his content, Zach, it was just like, man, this dude, he loves the Lord, and he's putting out some really cool content in the racing world.
He's doing something different.
You're interested in.
Yeah, he's doing something different. That's the thing that I noticed.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, as we talk to him, y'all understand what that different thing is. So
yep. So guys, without any more hesitation, we got Jesse with 3G Video with us. Jesse, how are you today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be on with you guys and get to share a little bit about my testimony, share about what the Lord's doing in the drag and drive space, form of racing, which we'll talk about. And I'm ready for a good day.
Well, Jesse, before we jump into what 3G Video is, I just wanted to say, hey, we got to hook up and have dinner. A few nights back,
yeah,
and you rode in your Volvo, and everybody's going to get to know Benny during this podcast.
Yep.
But you rode in your Volvo, and what a unique car! And you just finished its first drag and drive.
Yeah. So the car and me have been to, I think, 31 or 32 drag and drives doing media, but this was our first actually competing in it. So that was a good time. We were able to finish. Did okay. Didn't do spectacular in the class. It was a DYO. It's a stick car, and so it's like you have to dial, and I was not close, but I had a great time. We had a great time out there. We got to do some ministry and just had a great event. So yeah,
that's what it's all about, having a good time.
Yeah, and finishing. You don't always you don't have to win. Finishing the thing with your car in working order is good. So
yeah, normally drag and drives we have about 20% that actually drop out before the end of the event.
That's a lot.
Between 15 and 30. Yep.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of this content on YouTube, and you see all kinds of guys that are like done after the first round.
Yeah.
It's pretty quickly.
Well, I know that all of our listeners are probably thinking, Volvo, did you just say Volvo? But I don't want to get into that yet. We're going to save that for a little bit later.
Yep.
Jesse, I want you to jump in and tell us what is 3G Video, how to get started, and why 3G Video.
Oh yeah. So couple years, back in 2018, was getting out of college. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I was working at some different factory jobs, and the Lord kind of told me that I needed to start a YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, I'm down. I would love to do YouTube. That'd be fun. Thought there was going to be a get rich quick thing. And as you guys are starting to realize, it's not that, but it is a lot of fun, and it has opened up a lot of doors going forward. And I didn't know what to call it. And I was just praying about it, and the Lord kind of was saying that it needs to be all for His glory. So it was one of those things that, okay, what is this? What's a good name? And it came up to God's Glory Garage. So that's the 3 G's is God's Glory Garage. And it's just something that we put God first. We give Him the glory, and then we have fun out in the garage making cars and going and seeing races. So
very cool. Very cool. Your story is similar to ours and how we started the podcast, just listening to God, being obedient, and putting Him first. And that's what it's all about. And so I know with your content, you go to these drag and drives, you go to a lot of automotive events, and you always have something going on that is with scripture, or there is a church service or something going on during the event. And one thing that I'm going to bring up right off the bat that we discussed the other day, one of your most recent videos, right in the middle of the video, you're like, dude, I just stopped at a gas station and got to lead somebody to the Lord.
Yep.
That is something that you don't hear on any other content on YouTube. And I was just so, I was just like, man, that is awesome. That is so awesome. Why don't you tell us that story?
Yeah, so I mean, this is something that I've been praying into here recently. I was on a trip to New Zealand, and Lord kind of scolded me, honestly, that I wasn't doing enough in the content and in my daily life. And I was like, okay, Lord, what does that look like? What do you want that to look like? What changes do I need to make? And part of that was that every day looking for something to do for him, telling somebody about him, or speaking into somebody's life, or praying for something along those lines. So after that, we started getting into a section where it was like just every day looking for that, and still am. It's like, who are you going to lead in my path today, Lord? And that day it just happened to be while I was stopping. It was a travel day, going down to the event, and stopped there at the gas station. And I was trying to get to my buddy's house. They had some of his friends out there with some race cars. I was wanting to film that, and I was kind of in a hurry. I stopped at the gas station and pulled in. I'm getting gas, and there was this kid. I call him a kid. He was 21, but he was in his truck, pulled up the guy on the other side of the gas pump, and he looked over at the car and started asking some questions about the car. And I was like, oh, I'm not. At first, you get it in your mind. It's like, I don't really want to take too much time here because I got other stuff that I do. And then the Lord was like, hey, I put him here for a reason. It's like, oh, okay. It's one of those things. It's like all those times that whenever somebody comes up, it's like, there's probably a reason for it. And just throughout the conversation, got talking, and was able to bring up the Lord a little bit, what I do as with it being a ministry, and being able to speak into people, and got to ask him some questions, why he was there, what was going on in his life, and if he was going to church. And he's like, well, I used to, and I went with my family and all this. And I was like, okay, so do you have a relationship with Jesus? Do you have a personal relationship with Jesus? And it's like, no, I don't think so. I was like, okay, well, is there anything stopping you today from doing that? Is there something that you're questioning? Is there something that you feel like is wrong, that you don't want to do that? Or like, because I mean, right now the present is always the best time for that, because you never know what's coming, and having him on your side and being with him is key to life, And he's like, yeah, I'd be open to that. I was like, okay. So we just led him into the sinner's prayer right there at the gas pump, and got to pray over him afterwards. Exchanged some information and stuff, and just went on with the day.
That's cool.
It was pretty awesome.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Cool. Yeah, that's the kind of things that you really, you dream about, but you should always be ready to take that opportunity, like you were, but the Lord kind of had to smack you in the face and say, hey, wake up. This is,
you have to do that with me a lot, man. I tell you what.
Yeah. So, that is so awesome. But let's get into the drag and drives. You do a lot of drag and drives. You're getting ready to start on a tour around the country doing drag and drives. Tell us about that, and how much fun that is, and what you do at the Drag and Drives S3G video.
Yeah, so Drag and Drive, for those of you who don't know what Drag and Drive is, it's a type of event that started with Hot Rod Drag Week, if you've ever heard of that. That was the first. It's the original. Over the past 20 years, it was them for 10, and then after 2015, it started blowing up. So we have 40 something events now a year. What it consists of is you take a drag car, you race it at the racetrack for the first day, then you have to take everything you need to race that car in a trailer or in the car itself. There's no support vehicles, and you have to drive it to the next racetrack that evening, or sometimes a race of an evening, drive of a morning, just depending on the event. But you have to drive it to the next racetrack, race the next day, then go on, so on and so forth. Some of them are 3-day events, some of them are 7-day events. It just depends on the event. But is such a great event style because you actually get to drive your car. You know, you have to drive your car. You get to enjoy it out on the road. Sometimes it's a little miserable because they're like full blown pro mods out on the street. But you know, we still enjoy it. You know, it's so cool to see those things rolling out on the street. And to me, that's something that I love. You know, I love being in cars that are super uncomfortable. They're like the most cool thing ever. So that's just that's what I enjoy with it, and in the car side, of course. But for me, coming into it, the Lord, as we already mentioned, he kind of told me to start this as a ministry. I knew I was supposed to be a ministry growing up, and I didn't know what that looked like. I had this passion for cars and didn't really know what to do with it. And finally came around, figured out like, oh, he put that in there for a reason. You know, I'm supposed to minister to these people. And like I said, it's been, even over the past couple months, it's been shifting and kind of, Lord's been kind of downloading a little bit more. Is just how to do that even better and more efficiently and what he wants in it. But what we do is whenever we're doing I do interviews with the drivers whenever we're out. If something happens, you know, they have like a part of the car blows off down the run, or they have a really good run, or they're, you know, winning the class and stuff. We'll go do interviews for our videos. We'll show the passes. We'll do the interview. And when we do those interviews, we get talking to them. We get to know these people pretty well, just because we're in the pits a lot. We're getting to talk to all the drivers, and that opens up doors that we don't necessarily just talk about the cars. You know, we're able to talk about their lives personally, get to know these people, and then we can speak into their lives. We can pray for them when they're in need. They're a lot more willing to open up and talk to somebody that they know, they recognize, they're around. And then they're, you know, it lets that guard down. A lot of times car people, we get kind of hard, you know, somebody comes up and they start talking to you and that you realize that they don't understand anything about cars at all. They're trying to ask you these questions and you realize, okay, they're just kind of a poser, not necessarily poser, but you know, they aren't like a genuine car person. But whenever you are in that space and you get to build a relationship with people, then they can open up and they're okay to talk about other things, because they know that you share that passion, and then they know who you are by that point. So it's opened up a lot of opportunities that we can pray for these drivers, that we're able to just, even when they're having a rough time in the middle of the event, you know, we get to Wednesday, middle of the event, they're dragging tail because they haven't slept but 2 hours in the whole time, and you know, they're exhausted, like cars breaking and all that. You come over and you get to pray with them, and they just feel the presence of God and just feel that peace come over, and you can see their countenance change, and that's what means so much to us. You know, it's just being able to have those opportunities. And then whenever, you know, we do get to lead people to the Lord, or we get to pray for healing, we get to see that stuff, and just, it's just exciting, you know, just to get to see God move and just be the vessel that is just there watching it happen. So
yes, sir. So like I said, you're getting ready to go on a big tour. Yep. So how many events are you getting ready to cover?
Yeah, so this year total, we're doing, the goal is to do 17 this year. That's kind of what we're looking at. We've already done 2. So we had Sick Week in February, and then we had just did Carolina Drag Cruise. I have 2.5 weeks. By time that we're filming this, by the time it comes out, we'll actually be getting started with this. I got 2.5 weeks to get the car ready, and then I'm going to be gone for about 7 months on the road straight. Going between events. I'm going coast to coast, I think like 2 or 3 times, something like that. We'll be out, I think it's like 40 something states this year, and just craziness, you know, getting to travel all across the country, up into Canada and going across there. So really excited about it. I love getting to live out of the car, which is you know, another unique thing that we do. Not only do we just go to these events, but we use the car as a camper, you know, so the back of it has a bed in it, got microwave, got everything to live out of it. Internet, all that, because obviously we got to upload videos and do the social media thing. But yeah, so we travel around, like I said, for 7 months, almost 7 months straight. I think I'll might stop back here like once or twice, maybe for like a day, just to like do laundry or do something. But we'll see. I do that'll all the time where we're traveling. So yeah, it's a great time.
Crazy to think, you know, how many guys, you know, which I think this would be awesome to do. How many guys, you know, talk about how they just drove cross country to go to this show? You know, they drive from Georgia to California, or, you know, they drive from Kentucky to Washington State or something, and so they've drove cross country and back in their hot rod. But you're going to go cross country 3 times during this 7-month period.
Yep.
In your Volvo wagon.
Yep.
With what motor does that have in it?
It's got a Mopar 318. So it's a V8 Mopar, one of their small ones. Man, this thing, it works. It's a workhorse. You can't kill them. So like that's very helpful for what I do. I need to be able to find parts at any parts store in the nation. I need to be able to do that. So we kind of kept it pretty simple. There's no real exotic parts in it, but it's a good time. It ran 945 in the eighth. At Carolina Drag Cruise. So it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it gets down. So it's a good time.
It's fun. And man, it sounds really good.
It does sound good.
Thank you.
But I know all of our Mopar fans just were like, what? Did he just say 318?
Yeah.
So why would you put a 318 in a Volvo? Because I've seen all kinds of LS swap Volvos, Volvo wagons, but never a Mopar motor in a Volvo.
Yeah, so why is because of that. Everybody, when I went to swap it, they wanted me to put an LS in it. I had so many people like already assumed it had an LS, even when I still had the Volvo engine, the red block in it. I had a little turbo on it, and it was a good time, but it didn't make any power. So they were all wanting me to put an LS in it and wanted to go racing with it, and I was like, I don't want it to be like everything else. I want it to be a little different. The original thought, I hadn't looked it up too much, and I thought, well, I haven't seen any of these. I also hadn't looked it up, but I was like, man, I've never seen any Mopars in a Volvo, so maybe this will be a world's first, of a Mopar V8 in a Volvo. Come to find out, it's the third one in the world, so not the first, but still pretty rare. It's definitely not something you're just going to see around every corner. I did meet one of the guys that actually has one of the other ones, though.
Okay.
At one of the events, he came up and started talking and realized that it was a Mopar. He's like, oh, I got a 360 in mine. I was like, are you kidding me? So it was kind of funny, and I'd actually seen his stuff on the internet before with the 360 car. And then there's also a 440 car over in Sweden. So kind of cool to see a big block in one as well.
That thing's got to be stuffed in there pretty tight.
Yeah. So I want to ask a question. This is off the topic of cars a little bit, but me and you, we were talking about this when we got dinner a couple nights ago. So you're going across country 3 times. How many national parks do you plan to hit in that time period?
Yeah, that's good. So we were talking about this the other night. My goal is to eventually get to all the national parks.
Oh yeah,
that is definitely my goal.
It's my goal as
this year, I haven't actually mapped out which ones we're gonna hit this year. I haven't seen Yellowstone yet, and we're gonna be pretty close there. And I have a little gap in there, so we're probably gonna try to see Yellowstone. I'd love to see Rocky Mountain National Park in northern Colorado. That's on my list. I'm gonna try to see a couple up in Washington and Oregon. We're still trying to figure that out. We'll be up in that area later for Redwood Rally. So we got an event there, and I got like 2.5 weeks in between that and our next one, which is back over in the Smoky Mountains. So we're going to kind of meander across the country and try to see a couple of them. I think we're going to try to see Black Hills, see a couple in the Dakotas. I think we're going to see some in Montana and stuff. So we're going to try. I don't have a number yet because I haven't got it all mapped out. We're going to kind of just go with when I have time. If we're close to one, we'll go see it. But
like I said, that's my goal as well. Me and my wife have been talking about doing it. We haven't hit nearly as many as you have. I know we were talking about it the other day, but our goal is to get out west a little bit. And I know you've been telling me I need to go to the Rocky Mountains, so
yes,
we'll make it out there eventually.
Yeah. So you just got back from New Zealand, not very long ago. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing over there, because I watched some of your YouTube videos and I thought, man, this is the coolest event.
Yeah, so New Zealand was really amazing. Everything that we have out on the channel so far has just been the events that I went to over there, which is only like the tip of the iceberg of what we actually were doing, why I was there and all that. Yeah. I have a documentary that I'm trying to get edited and get out. It's a bear, but I'm working on it to get it out. But yeah, we went over for ministry. That was actually the main purpose of going over there. My parents and I have a ministry. It's Foxes of Fire Ministries, and it's an itinerant ministry. My dad does a lot of the preaching whenever we're out and about. I kind of help logistically with that, and I'll do some ministry here and there in the churches, depending on what's needed at the time, where the Lord's moving in the services and that sort of thing. But we went down there to This was their first time back in the country in the last 5 years. They used to be going 2 times a year. Mom and dad had some health issues. Mainly, mom had some issues that they were going through, and we weren't sure how she was going to handle it. Being back for 2 months and doing all that sort of stuff. So it was a blessing that I hadn't got to go yet. This was my first time getting to go. So I was going to help her and help them kind of make sure that everything was okay with them traveling. But God, obviously had other plans along with that too. It did more for me personally than it really did. I think that we were able to touch a lot of people and get to do a lot of ministry, but man, it meant so much for me and my relationship with God through that. Just getting to see him move through me and through our ministry, and just like, oh, okay, and it kind of gave me a different mindset coming back home as to what my channel should be looking like and what the social media
It's
and
awesome.
all that. So that was huge. Obviously, it's a beautiful country. Landscape's beautiful. People that are down there are actually what made it for me, though. Originally, when I went down there, I was thinking, I love doing landscape photography. I'm going to focus on doing a lot of that. I'm going to go to a couple car events, get some automotive content for the channel, do that sort of thing. But then it turned into meeting all these people from the churches and getting to know their heart and, their drive to know Jesus better and to know the Lord. And that meant so much to me, way more than I anticipated it. And making lifelong friends, just there. You only stayed a couple days with them and you feel like they're family. And it was just like, wow, like that really, really resonated with me, and it was really good.
So that's awesome that you're able to go there for ministry, but yet experience the car culture too while you're there. Get to know people, and because to me it sounds like you're probably at some point going to make a trip back. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's awesome to know that God's using that ministry, and He opened up to you what you need to be doing more of in your own ministry, and it has been evident just in the videos, that the recent videos of the drag and drive you just did. So I can look at some of the videos before the New Zealand trip and see you talking a lot more about the Lord in these videos than you did then. So it's pretty awesome to see, and just, praise the Lord that He's working on you. He's working on us. He's working, we're always moving forward, because if we're not, then we've done lost out,
Absolutely.
Back. So,
yeah.
So
we always got to strive to get closer to Him every day, man. That's
right.
Exactly right.
That's right. So the event that you went to there, one of the videos that I really enjoyed was the one with the Bandit Trans Am.
Yep.
And they also had the Kenworth.
Yep.
Pulling the trailer. It was all painted up, and you got to ride along. How awesome was that experience?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was fun. They were on the CBs like the whole time. They were playing music back and forth to each other. So I could, some of that I couldn't put on the channel because copyright. Yeah. But man, it was hilarious. Like they were just a riot rolling it down through there, and it was every opportunity that the truck driver had. He was on the Jake brake like the entire time, and then just like blowing the horn on the Jake brake. I mean, like
running through the middle of town, an hour and a half
straight of just that the entire time. It was awesome.
That's so neat.
It was a Bandit looking Trans Am, and the dude driving it, I don't know how tall he was, but he looked really tall.
Well, he was also right next to me, and I'm really short, so that has part to do with it.
So, and of course, he had the Burt Reynolds mustache going on and stuff. But as soon as he started talking, you had that New Zealand accent.
It was funny because he was actually trying to have a more American accent. It was hilarious.
Was he? But that was good stuff. It looked like a really fun time going town to town, riding in the Bandit Trans Am. I mean,
that's awesome.
It was just like, man, that would have been an awesome experience.
Oh yeah.
The funny thing is, go ahead.
It was a blessing just because I was from America, and that car event was actually called Americana.
Yes.
So they were celebrating American cars, and all the cars in the show had to be American cars. So having an American there filming it, I kind of got some special privileges, to be honest. They were very excited to have me there.
That's awesome.
but that was one of the reasons I ended up actually getting to ride with them, was because we were filming and we were kind of showcasing the event, trying to show it to Americans that they were celebrating. It was really weird seeing all the American flags along the road, because like that's a thing that they do, right? Like for that event, they get all these American flags from the American embassy, and like all the kids love waving the flags out beside the road, and they're all like chanting and everything. And for us Americans, like we're very used to having national pride. Like we'll have parades and everything. We got a lot of American flags that are flying, so we kind of get used to that. But then like it would hit me while we're going down the road, like I'm in a different country. Like this isn't home. Like this is kind of weird, you know? So
that was the next thing I was going to say, because during that video, I thought, y'all are driving through a town and there's all these American flags hanging up. It's normal, for Memorial Day weekend or 4th of July weekend, that small towns will put flags all through their town. Ours does it, most towns do. But you're riding through these small towns and there's flags down the sides of the road. There's kids out there waving their flags. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing. I mean, it's just like, and I didn't even pay attention. I knew what the show was, but I didn't even pay attention that all the cars were American made. I don't guess I even realized that. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so every car that's there had to be imported because they don't sell American cars there.
Yeah.
So like they had to buy it in America and then ship them all over there. And there was 700 and something cars in that show. Driving around. So I mean, it's crazy. It's really cool how they look at our culture and they're like, oh, we really like their cars. We want to bring that over. A lot of 50s stuff and a lot of 50s and 60s type hot rods.
So what kind of cars do they usually have then?
A lot of Japanese cars, a lot of Mazdas, and they had Skodas, which was weird because we don't have those. That sort of thing. You got Utes, Holdens, that sort of thing that we also don't have.
I wish we had those.
They're right over there beside Australia. So, but a lot of just little cars. Little commuter cars that wouldn't really sell very well here in America, but they want little cars that can get really good gas mileage. The roads are real narrow, so you don't have like a lot of the big trucks. Now you do sometimes have like in that show, you saw full size trucks like ours, but it's not super common, because that's not them.
One of the vehicles that you featured that I really liked was a Sweepline D100. That truck was just awesome, but that guy shipped that over and built it there, right? Yeah. So just give us a little bit about that truck, because I mean, to me, that was probably the coolest thing that you showed through all the videos.
Dude, that truck was so sick. And it did not have the drivetrain in it that I was expecting at all.
No, me either.
It was on air. Like, I mean, that body work was perfect. Like, it was pristine. He'd actually had to widen the front fender a little bit, like make it a little bit taller in the front fender just to make it incorporate the chassis that's underneath it. It was on air ride. And I guess to take the suspense away, it was on a Mitsubishi chassis with a little 4-cylinder diesel, like a little 4-cylinder turbo diesel. And it sounded weird. It comes rolling in, it's a diesel, and you're like, wait a second. Like, in my mind, when I start hearing diesels, I'm like, oh, it's going to have a Cummins in it. But then I was like, it doesn't have that clanky noise like a Cummins. It doesn't have that, like, it's a big old Cummins. It was like, this is small. And then, like, when I got talking to him, I was like, oh, this is weird, but it was such a cool looking truck. And it was kind of interesting to see, because it's like, okay, in the rules for that event, you have to have an American car. I'm like, okay, so you can have an American bodied car with not an American engine in it, but I don't think you could have a non-American car with an American engine in it. I don't think. I'm not sure, but it was just kind of interesting.
It's a very odd setup, but whenever you looked at it, you would have never known that. I mean, you would have not known it was Mitsubishi underpinnings, motor or anything. It doesn't. It looks like what you would see at any truck show. I don't know. Whenever whenever he told the motor that was in it, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. So anyway, that truck was awesome. And then there was all kinds of other muscle cars and sports cars and everything. I think there was a few Mustangs there, and
there's a lot of Mustangs. Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And you got some really good footage. You would speed up and get ahead of everybody, take footage of them rolling through. It was cool stuff. So I enjoyed those videos a lot. I encourage everybody to go watch them because you get to see another country's car culture really and what they think about American cars. So it's
That was really
pretty
cool.
good.
And then the other event we got to do down there was a drifting event, which most of my audience is not into that because there are a lot of the old school drag racing audience. But I really enjoy getting to see drifting as well. Like I'm all over the place when it comes to cars. I like pretty much everything. So it's just like
that's the way I am.
We enjoy drifting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we love drifting.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I got to go over. Mad Mike had an event over there and got to do that. Got to see some really, really amazing cars in there, and got to do some pretty good ministry on that trip as well. Going down to the South Island. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful down there. So it was
Nice.
it was a blessing to be able to do that trip for sure.
Was it hard to get used to driving right-hand drive?
A little bit. It didn't. It was weird coming home. Was the weird part. Like, whenever you got there, when I first got there, the really weird part wasn't necessarily driving because you just kind of follow the cars that are in front of you. It was more whenever you go to cross the road, like when you're walking and you go to cross the road, I'd always look the wrong direction. And you'd like almost step out in front of a car because you're looking the wrong direction. Yeah. And that was a little weird. You had to get used to that. And then all the roundabouts. But yeah, it took about a day and a half. And then it was just it felt kind of normal. I did hit the windshield wipers a lot. Like a lot. So, because I'd go to turn on the turn signal and it would just hit the windshield wipers all the time. Like, oh no. So yeah, that took a little while to get used to.
So when you're out at all these events, you're of course videoing, but you do a lot of photography, and you hit on that a little bit, on the New Zealand trip, but you do a lot of photography, and that is kind of what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
So the photography is actually the business side of what I do. 3G Video is an LLC for video and photo work. So we do customer work at these events. So if there's a driver that wants to have photos of their car, they can hire us to have a photo package during the event. We make sure there's different photo package options for the different events and such. So they can either get photos or they can get video, just depending on what they want. We make special packages for them as well. And then we also work with companies to do, like if they are sponsoring an event, then we can get footage for them to put out on their socials to kind of show that their involvement in the event, show their logos on stuff, and just promote their brands through that, or promote the drivers through what we do. So yeah, that's our kind of business side. That's how we pay to be able to do all this. And then the YouTube is just kind of a passion project and part of the ministry. So
yeah, and I kind of want to hit on that just because I know that the listeners are probably saying, how does he go spend 7 months on the road?
Yeah.
So, but that said, you're more than just YouTube. You're a media company. So that's awesome. And I think that to be able to do what you're doing is probably a dream for a lot of guys, to be able to go and hang out at these events. But the awesome part is you're putting ministry into what you're doing.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit about your testimony. Why don't you just fill us in on when you found the Lord and what the Lord means in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have I was very blessed growing up with having the family I do. Obviously, they're in ministry. They've been in ministry. My parents have been in ministry for a long time. So growing up in that made that very easy to come to Christ. I actually accepted Christ 4 days before my 4th birthday. We were at a church service at our home church, and the pastor was speaking on salvation. And, I was young. I was definitely young, but I had understood it, and I can remember that day to this day. I can remember this happening.
Yeah.
That I heard it and I was like, I need to do that. I need to be right with Jesus. And I turned to my dad and I said, can I be I want to be saved. And my dad actually was able to lead me to the Lord right there in the pew. I know exactly which pew it is at that church. I know exactly where it was. and
Yeah.
we don't attend there anymore. You know, like that's not our home church now. But um, it was a very special day. You know, like that was it was like I know that that's when I was saved, when I accepted Christ, and grew up in Christian home. Obviously, went through school and went through different churches and stuff as we were going to we were minister they were assisting pastors, so they kind of had to switch churches every once in a while, just
Yeah.
doing that, working through the denomination and stuff. So that was different, but it was good, you know, as I grew with the Lord. And I knew I was supposed to be in ministry for a long time. You know, I knew that was my call on my life. But I didn't know what it looked like for a long time. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to do it. I knew I didn't want to be a pastor. And if you're looking at being in full-time ministry, that being your thing, in today's society, the only real options are to be a pastor or to be an evangelist, or not necessarily an evangelist, but like a missionary. You can be a missionary and be out going to third world nations, do that sort of thing, having support from churches, or be a pastor of a church. And I knew that, you know, I knew I had evangelism kind of in me, and I knew I had some of that stuff that to go out and speak to people, but I knew I wasn't necessarily a missionary. You know, I didn't want to, I wasn't supposed to go to a third world country and live there and plant churches and stuff. I knew that wasn't necessarily what I was being called to do. And I knew I wasn't a pastor. I don't have I don't feel like I have the skill set to be a pastor. Okay. Like there's just, you know, to be a pastor, to be a true pastor, you got to be really like, you have to have that heart to be a pastor, you know, and it's important, you know, and that's why a good pastor is really important for the body, because you need those people. But I knew that that wasn't me, you know, and I knew that that wasn't where I was supposed to go. And, but growing up, I wanted to be in ministry. So I went to college and did not get a degree in ministry. Like some people thought that I should, not parents or anything, but just like some of the people in the church and everything thought that I should go and do it that way. But I was like, I didn't feel led that way. And Lord put me into an automotive program in college, where I got the bug for drag racing because I ended up driving a dragster there. And life kind of turned around to be that way, you know, in the cars. And I had this passion for racing, and I didn't know what to do with it. I thought that it was wrong. You know, I thought that having this passion was wrong because I was thinking about it a lot, and I wasn't, you know, wasn't thinking about ministry, quote unquote, as much as I was the racing side, because I really enjoyed the racing. And it took probably 4 years to really, it takes me a little while sometimes to get what God's saying, you know, but it probably took me 3 or 4 years. And the Lord was like, hey, dummy, like, there's a reason that you have a passion for cars in you. Like, I want you to minister to those people. Like, that's where you're supposed to be at. And it was like, when I realized that, everything started clicking. You know, it was like, oh, okay, like this is what I'm supposed to be. Now, does that mean that I've been like, yeah, I've been saved a long time, but I've had plenty of struggles. You know, I've had plenty of things that I've struggled with as growing up and going through. So don't, please, nobody take it that I had this perfect life as being a Christian, because I'm not. You know, I'm definitely not.
When you get saved, you know, God never says that you're going to go without struggle your entire life.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, you go through things to build your faith and to be strengthened in your relationship with God, not to have a perfect, happy life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's really, I mean, that's my testimony. I got saved as a teenager, and you know, for 10 years I was out of church, pulled my family out of church just over, you know, bitterness and anger from, you know, a church that hurt me, you know. So people go through all sorts of different things. It doesn't matter, you know, how young you were when you got saved. You're still going to deal with issues. You're still going to have things that come up that Satan tries to pull you away with, you know.
And sometimes you'll have seasons of things that you go through. I mean, there are people that have gotten saved that'll struggle with addiction at some point in their life. You know? And it's just because you get saved doesn't mean your life is perfect.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but hopefully that encourages somebody today that, like, you can be saved young and not have to fall completely away from God. Like, you might struggle with things, but you don't have to have this crazy testimony of, like, everything went wrong and like I completely,
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Yeah.
Now some people, it happens. I'm not saying that doesn't, and that those are powerful. Everybody's testimony is powerful.
Yes.
Everybody's testimony is going to reach the people that it needs to reach because we're all different. We've all went through different things, but having all those different testimonies helps share that to the people that needs to hear it. So
I think that doesn't get said enough, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of times, you hear people's testimonies, and there's some people with some really crazy things that they've been through, and they've went through a whole lot, and do not feel like you are lesser or that your testimony means less because your testimony is bitterness, or your testimony is being lukewarm, or your testimony is stepping away from the church for a little while and then coming back, and the Lord helped you through that time. That's your testimony is not lesser than anybody, because there are people that are struggling deeply with exactly what you were dealing with.
Yeah, one of the sayings, and I hate that it's true, but one of the sayings that I always hear is, if you're in church long enough and you haven't been hurt, you haven't been in church long enough.
Yeah,
that's because we're all people. We're all people, and we're going to make mistakes. We're going to hurt each other on accident. It may not even be that it's on purpose. It's not that they're trying to hurt you, but we're all going to hurt each other at some point. But it's how we react and how we overcome that that really makes the difference. I
want to pull something out of what you just said too, is that people are the ones that hurt each other.
Yes.
God does not hurt you.
I think that, like, for me, it's made me stronger because I look at things in the church a whole lot different now. I realize more now than ever that we're all human. We're all making mistakes every day. And I realize that there's a lot you got to overlook. There's a lot everybody's the same.
There's a lot of people that come from different backgrounds, especially where we go now. It's like, you got people from all kinds of walks of life, people that have been through all kinds of different things. And you really learn it here, where we're at, the church we're at now. It's just like, you realize, like, man, I was raised this way, but this person was raised the complete opposite. Maybe this person came from a single parent household, or maybe this person came from a household where they were raised by their grandparents. They didn't have parents, and it's like, they're going to be brought up differently than you, and it determines how people treat each other.
Yeah, it does.
I got one of the buddies that was actually at that event that I just came home from, that he talks about that a little bit. We actually had a conversation about that everybody's normal, is different. Or everybody's home normal is different, because you go to somebody else's house when you're a kid and you realize, like, oh, this isn't normal, but for them it is. And it's like, so you always have to look at every situation whenever you're in it with them. You'll be like, oh, this person might see this in a different light as I do. And that's how we have to have compassion, is kind of looking at that. And it's hard because we get it in our mind that this one thing that's right. This is the way that it's supposed to look at. But sometimes that might be even cultural things, or that might be places that may not even be biblical things that we think are right and wrong. But then we get looking in the word and it's like, oh, that doesn't necessarily line up with what I've been taught because of culture. And it's like, oh, okay. So we always have to take that into account whenever we're reading and realize, okay, why do I believe what I believe? And back that up with the word.
So when you're on the road, I'm sure, are running a pretty tight schedule most of the time.
Yep. So
how do you take time to dive into the word, spend time with God? What's that look like for you on the road?
No, that's a great question. It depends if I'm at an event. Okay. Because when I'm at an event, I have a lot less time to be able to do stuff, but I still make sure to take time for God. So my normal day, when I'm not at an event, will start off with getting up in the morning, going right into my reading time in the Word. That just depends what the Lord's put on my heart at that time as to where I'm reading. I actually just finished my read through the Bible today. That was actually this here. Then he's having me start back just from the beginning. This last time it was weird. We hopped around a lot, but this time he's having me start from the beginning and just go through. We're going to be taking notes and kind of like writing out a whole thing. I'm a little nervous about it because, like, I'm not a good writer, but I got to write down like all these notes. We're going to make like a whole notebook of like a condensed version of the Bible kind of thing is what he's been putting on my heart, that like each day I'll write like a synopsis of what was in it. And then whenever I finish that book, I have to write like a synopsis of the book and then like put it in a timeline thing. And so that's kind of how I'm working on that. And then I'll go right into my prayer time, which Lord put a new thing. And this has been a little weird in the last couple months, but I used to, my prayer time was just like, I just pray with over whatever is kind of like I was thinking about that day or whatnot. But he's actually been having me write out some prayers so that make sure that I pray for some things every day. Pray for different people, put, that sort of thing. Just people that I've been able to meet and minister to or that sort of thing. So that list is always getting bigger, but that's good. It's fun because it helps me remember those people to pray for and the things to pray for and the future goals and what I feel like the Lord's putting in my heart for the future to look like. So just kind of praying into that. So that's kind of what my mornings will look like. We get up and do that and then get on with working on videos, editing videos and that sort of thing, and then getting on to whatever else I need to do for the day. When I'm at the events, it's the same process during an event. It's just the amount that I read is a little bit less, and I spend I'll still go through the whole sheet of like the prayer sheet. I just don't expand on things. I'll just kind of go through it quickly and just kind of pray over it. And then whenever we get done with the event, I'll make sure to go back and spend a little bit more time with a couple days after the event. Just like, okay, I need to get back into this, read a little bit more and kind of do that. But it's been really good getting to do that. Obviously with long or short turnarounds and stuff, it does make it difficult because I got one turnaround this year that's going to be very difficult, and I'm just believing that the Lord's going to kind of give me grace in it and, and give me the right way to look at it. But a lot of times if I am like on a travel day or something, I'll kind of revert my praying time while I'm driving. So I'll kind of get my reading done before I get on the road, and then I'll take a section of time whenever I get on the road for the first hour or so and just kind of dedicate that to like listening to praise music and just I'm praying while I'm driving. That way it's like, okay, I'm making sure that I'm spending that time, that quality time with the Lord. And then once after that, then I can listen to other music that's like more upbeat music, or like not worship music as per se. I listen to a lot of like Christian rap and that sort of thing. So it's like, but I don't listen to that during my prayer time. So like I have to.
That's what I do is I'll turn on the praise music and I'll get into prayer time while I'm on the road. And you know what? Sometimes I just don't have any music on. Yep. And
my ADHD won't allow for music. I'm gonna be honest. I pray every single morning on the way to work. That's when my main prayer time is. I can't have nothing. Like I get distracted by cars on the road, man. I can't. I can't. I struggle to focus on it. So I can't even listen to music. It'll pull me away from my prayer.
Yeah. Well, I what I find is it just gives a calming spirit, as I start my prayer time.
I can understand that.
And it also, I find myself more and more, whatever the first song is, I just kind of sing the song.
Yep.
And it kind of gets myself more into the spirit of praying,
like a mini worship session.
Yeah, a little mini worship session before I go into prayer.
Changes that atmosphere, man.
It does. I've been doing that more often. And, to me, that's a good time for me because there's no one around. There's no distractions. And most of the time I'm on an interstate where you're hitting the cruise control and you're just rolling. And, it's a great time to be in prayer. And I asked that question because I know that when you're at an event and there's so much going on, you probably get up early so you can start that and you can have that Bible time, but you're living out of your car. So there's probably things going on around you and you're also caught up in, this is what I have to do today. This is what I've got to be here at this certain time. I got to be ready and set up and ready to go. And sometimes that's a big distraction, and that's the main reason I asked that, because I know for me, if I wake up in the morning and something hits me, because a lot of times when I wake up, there'll be something that hits me just right away that I need to take care of. And a lot of times it's for the podcast, and so it'll hit me. And I found myself for a few weeks, maybe a little longer than that, I would jump on the computer and start doing that thing.
And then get distracted by something else. And,
and then before I realized it, man, I got to get off to work. I haven't had my prayer time. I haven't had no Bible time.
Yep.
And a few weeks, just a couple weeks ago, actually, I was a little discouraged, and it's like God come to me and said, "What are you doing? You're not giving me that time first thing in the morning."
Yeah.
And that's what I want you to be doing. That is when
Yeah.
you need to be doing that. And it woke me up a little bit, and I'm like, okay, no matter what,
Yep.
no matter what, first thing, whenever when I get up, I'm going to read my Bible,
Yep.
and I'm going to spend that time with him. And what I've noticed since getting back to that is that I am spending more time in the Bible too.
Yep.
I'm spending more time studying and not just running through it real fast. And because that's what I felt like I was doing, before. And it's like God has slowed me down and said, spend more time with me.
Yep.
This first thing in the morning, this is what's going to get you going through the day. And I'm just going to tell you, a couple of days ago, I had a prayer time in my truck, and the Holy Spirit was so strong that I could not contain it. I mean, it was just, I could not, I was just, people were coming to my mind, and I was praying for them. And I'm sure this happens to you, man. You get rolling down the road and you're like, God just starts putting people in your mind. And it is so awesome to be in that presence,
Yeah.
and just through that, we've actually seen some things happen in the podcast that I feel like it's because God's got me back on track,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this podcast is about you, man, but
No, it's not.
you
It's about him. It's about him.
you talking about what you do just has opened this up to me, and it's helping me right now as we talk realize what he's done over the past 2 weeks to change things. I think he's focused us back where we started
We're
this
supposed
podcast
to be at.
just like he did with you when you
Yep.
came back from New Zealand, focused you back where 3G video needs to be.
Yep. We need that. It's very easy to get distracted or get a lot of those other things come up. And I found that whenever I put that time of a morning, that's why I have to do it of a morning, is because I find that I end up taking more time in my prayer time and in my devotions, but I also get more done during the day than I should be able to.
Yeah.
And it's like when you align everything right, God helps you get the rest of that stuff done. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like,
Yeah.
this actually is working.
Yes.
where other times I'll get started with something if I do not pray or something, and I get started, I get distracted and don't get back to it. That day is basically wasted. I don't get anything done, I feel like. So it's like, okay, no, God's got my back. He's always got our back.
Yeah, he does. We had a recent, well, I don't know how recent it was, but we had a podcast not too long ago where we did a Bible talk episode, and that was one of the questions that come up was about how do you find time in your schedule to give it to God, to have prayer and devotion, and that's the one thing we said first thing in the morning. That's got to be it. You got to get up. You got to start your day out with the Lord, and He'll lead you through the rest of the day. And
I think a better way of, well, not better. I think that's not the right way to say it, but I think a good mindset to have it, rather than, I need to make time, like I need to find time for it. It's I'm putting that time first. And I think that's what's putting it in the day first means it, because you're showing God you are the most important thing.
Planning your day around him.
First. You are top priority in my life. You're the first thing I'm going to take care of.
Yeah.
And whenever we're doing that, it helps us keep in that mindset, because we start the day off that way. And then as we walk through the day, we keep that mindset of keeping him first in everything that we do throughout the day. So, and it's hard. I mean, I am very, very much one of those people that get like one track mind. I get on working on something, and it's like, this is the only thing that's in the world right now. Like, this is all I'm focusing on. But even in that, we got to be, okay, Lord, even anything we do, it's like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do in this scenario? How do you want me to fix this? Like, I'm working on the car. What do I need to do next? Like, what is your will in this? And that's hard to do, because we think we got it all figured out sometimes. But when we start asking him, we start incorporating him in everything that we do, things change. And it's like, it's really cool.
You are out there in the race world all the time. And there's something that we bring up quite often, that we notice at cruise ins and stuff like that, is the God in the automotive industry, okay, in
Yeah.
general. So being out in the race world, what kind of are you seeing a movement in the race industry when it pertains to people giving their hearts to the Lord, or people wanting to have church or talk about the Lord? Because I think that what we have found over this past 8 or 9 months is there is a move going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think God is definitely getting ready to do something. Not necessarily just in the automotive culture, because like I think this is going to be a whole body of Christ type deal that
Yes,
Mhm.
I
I'm feeling
agree.
is starting to
Yep.
work. But he's doing it everywhere, and I think that the automotive side is going to be really cool to see, and
Yep.
in the racing and in the car shows and in that sort of thing. I mean, I'm really excited to see the Lord start just doing a lot of really cool stuff just in the middle of a race, that people are more focused on what God's doing and the healings and stuff than what's actually happening at the race, and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm expecting that to happen. I'm looking forward to it, but I think there really is a hunger.
Yeah.
I think people,
Definitely.
especially in today's culture and everything that's going on, people want something that's real. There's
Yep.
there's so much that's put out there that's have been tickling the ears and all the drama and all this stuff that like it's very easy to click, but people want to know the truth that there's a God that loves them, and I
Yes.
think that I think that they're searching for that, and that they're starting to realize like all this stuff in the world that we've been chasing that is very easy to do whenever you're in a first world nation like we are. I mean, we're so blessed with everything, but it makes us very easy to take what we have for granted and think that we can do it on our own, and that we have all these great doctors and we have all this. So why trust God to heal us? And
Yeah.
it's like we can trust in him, and we need to be going to him first. Like we shouldn't be trusting in these others. And I think that the automotive culture and the automotive side is starting to realize that. They're starting to realize that we need God with us when we're at the track. We need God with us when we're at home in all these situations, not just when we're at our quote unquote church service. Because I mean, a lot of our races we end up gone on a lot of Sundays. Like I'm not at my home church because we're out and we're gone. But at the same time, we like at this last event, we had a guy actually asked to have a church service. He was wondering if anybody was going to be doing it, and it opened up the opportunity that I was able to actually lead that, which was a blessing, to be able to do that.
Awesome.
And it's got me thinking. It's like, man, well, we got people literally asking to have this. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe we should try to do this at all the events, like that's actually one of the things I got on my list to kind of work with some of the promoters, get in touch with them and be like, hey, can we set something up that we can have a time and let everybody know, like, we're going to have this time that we're going to dedicate to God. And if you guys want to come out and hang out with us and just kind of see the Lord move, like, come on out. And I'm expecting big things from it, not because I'm doing it, not because of any of that, but just because the Lord's leading it.
You just, I think today, actually released a video about that church service, and I haven't got
Yeah.
to watch it yet, but I saw it pop up, and I'm like, oh man, I need to really watch that, because y'all had a pretty good turnout, didn't you, for that service?
Yeah, I mean, this event was a really small event, and we only had like 45 cars entered into the event, right? But we had 15 people show up to our church service on Sunday
is
morning
awesome.
Yeah,
before
that's a
like
lot.
everything got started. Like people weren't even there yet, like most of the
Yeah.
cars weren't even there yet, and we had 15 people show up, and it was great. We had a great time. It was awesome to see the people hungry. Like they came in, and whenever we got done, like they didn't want to leave. Like they just wanted to sit around and talk, and we were able to talk about the Lord, and that was really cool. And that kind of gave me that hope and that that mindset of like, okay, there's people here that are hungry for God, and they may not be willing. And like there's a lot of people that have gotten hurt, like you talked about, that have gotten hurt in church and have had that they wouldn't maybe go to a normal church. But you're out at the racetrack, you're with your race car friends, you're with these people that you actually that you trust, that you feel comfortable with. If we can get people to start going to church there, who said the church has to be in a church building, right?
That's exactly
We
right.
can have church with 2 or 3 gathered, like
That's
he's
right.
in our presence. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that stuff to start happening where they start getting that hunger for God, that it doesn't have to be in church. They want to get together with a group. And then, maybe that does get them to go be able to forgive and be able to get back into church and be able to get into a regular community. Hopefully it does lead to that, but at least that they have a community right where they're at that's
Yeah.
willing to help them and be with them and share the love of Christ. So.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And, you may have guys that are coming to that event that, it's their first time, or
Yep.
it's their first time at that particular event, or that's the only event they do throughout the year,
Yeah.
that are going to hear that message. And they may be like, yeah, I might try that out, because so and so invited them to come to the church service,
Yep.
and that might be the first time they ever hear a gospel message.
Yeah.
You never know how God's going to use that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in America, it's real easy to get, for me at least, it's really easy for me to assume that people have at least heard the name of Jesus
Yeah.
and have kind of at least know that Christianity is a thing. And that's been my mindset, right? When we were down in New Zealand, I realized that that's not always the case, right? Like I was
Yeah.
meeting people that didn't even know that Christianity was a belief, and that that you could have her, and I was like, I'm like, wait a second, we have to minister different in these times,
You
because it's
gotta
like
start from the ground and go
exactly, and
up.
I'm not used to that.
Like you said, you just take for granted that everybody knows or has heard about Jesus Christ, or they've heard about Christianity at least at some point in their life.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case.
And it's even not always the case here in the US, but it's easy for us to take granted for it because it is mentioned a lot. But there are people that we might come across in these times that have no idea what we're talking about. It's just like, that's interesting.
It's honestly hard to believe, but it's true.
It is. It is.
So we're going to switch gears just a hair here. And I want you just to kind of tell us what you've got going on with YouTube.
Yep.
So I know you've had your YouTube channel going on for a while now. You're still always trying to grow it.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got some good videos that have just came out, and you've put out 2 in 2 days. Yep. And so tell us a little bit about what's coming out on YouTube, which just came out, what you've got coming out in, the
you
future.
want the inside scoop? I see. No, I'm just playing. Yeah. So we always do at the events that I go to, try to do daily videos. Sometimes if there's like a drive day or something, we sometimes will combine 2 days into one video. Yeah. Past couple months have been kind of off for us, honestly, because I've been out in New Zealand and that sort of thing. So we've actually had some downtime on the channel, which has kind of hurt us a little bit, I think, with seeing growth and that sort of thing. But we're getting back into it. The goal is to have 3 videos out a week. Not always going to happen, but that is the goal. Is trying to get 3 videos out a week. Trying to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Used to it was every other day for a long time. We were trying to do it that way, and it didn't really work out as well. So we're going to be trying to do 3 a week. And then we just had last couple of videos, as you mentioned, we had the church service out that came out today, which day of filming, would be a couple weeks back from when they're watching it. And then before that, we had all of our Carolina Drag Cruise coverage, which was first event that I raced in. So I had a lot of that, a little bit different content for us, just actually getting to race, being on that side, which was a lot of fun. That's definitely something that I'm looking at doing a lot more of, is doing that, and then doing more vlog style type videos of just my life and what I do in ministry and what I do with the business and what I do with traveling and going to different events and just seeing God move in all of it. That's kind of the goal, is just to kind of document what we're doing, having fun, and hopefully people can enjoy that. Between builds, got a couple builds, which you guys actually went back and looked, because we were sitting there talking. You guys have actually went back really far and looked at videos from way back and kind of know about one of the vehicles that we're going to be revamping, and we'll be kind of debuting, I guess, re-debuting or showcasing on the channel at some point. So we got a build that we're working on there, and then I have another secret build that hasn't been on the channel before. That is going to be that one's going to be really fun. So definitely got some builds and stuff like that. Obviously, with me being gone for 7 months, that content's not, we're working on a schedule to get some of that content out over the next year. So got a lot of plans, a lot of things that I really want to do. Also on my whiteboard behind the computer, which I have to keep track of everything I need to get done on there. We were talking earlier, keeping our minds straight. I have to do all that, but I also have video ideas that I've been putting out there that we're trying to get figured out for long-term, mid-term, short-term videos. And so we got some cool stuff coming out. I got some good ideas for next winter in the off season. And then obviously doing a lot of event coverage type stuff whenever we're out at the events. Trying to change that coverage a little bit, that it's not necessarily an event coverage. That's what it's been for the past couple of years, is just like the day of the event. And we're trying to change it to more of a vlog of what my day was like being at this event doing ministry. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it, how we're trying to change the face a little bit going into this next year. But we got, in 3 weeks, we got Back to the Streets, which is our next drag and drive. And then from there on is when we really get started. So we go Back to the Streets, we go Mega Week, Big Sky, Circuit, Midwest Drags, Miles of Mayhem up in Canada, so it gets pretty crazy. If you guys want to check out the schedule, go over to 3gvideo.net, go to the more info tab, and you can see our whole schedule throughout the year to kind of know what to be looking forward to on YouTube. And then you can also find the YouTube channel from there, and Instagram and all the other social medias. So just going to throw that plug in there real quick.
Oh, I'm glad you did, because I didn't know that,
Yeah.
But I'm excited about the build of the vehicle that was on the channel previously. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited about the other build.
Yeah.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah, we talked about it. So for those of you who are questioning how they know, we might have talked about it a little bit when we met up.
It's going to be some good content. Yeah,
will be.
Check it out when it comes out. It's going to be good.
Now, you talked about, and I wasn't even going to get into this, but I am now. But you talked about how you have raced. You want to do a little more racing with Benny, and a little more racing in future, But what you haven't talked about this whole time, except for you mentioned one little quick snippet that you drove a race car when you were in college.
Yeah.
But you have some driving experience. So you're not just going out there with no experience. You actually have some driving experience. You actually know how to work on these cars. You know how to build these motors. You're not just the media guy. You do it all.
Yeah. So Benny, the Project Volvo, me and two of my buddies actually built that in a couple days, or in a couple weeks. I did most of it. I love building engines. I love working out in the shop. That's actually one of my big things. Now, I had a little bit of struggle working today. I was actually out working on the car, and it was I really don't want to do some of this, but that's because I just I broke stock parts, and I'm putting stock parts back in, and we're not upgrading it and making it faster. So I'm man, I don't like that. But if we're putting turbos on stuff, then I'm yeah, this is fun. Yeah.
Doing maintenance is always the worst.
Yeah.
Breaking stock parts, putting stock parts back on.
Well, in this case, though, it probably just makes sense to put the stock parts back in. You're getting ready to start driving it for 7 months.
Yeah. And the problem is, we got to put stock parts back in it. It is the right decision for right now. But I don't think we're going to really be able to race them too much this year, just because we know that there is a failure point there that if we start beating on it too hard, it's probably going to break again. So we got to be careful. But at the same time, it was exciting getting to race it that time. And then some of the other builds will definitely be more oriented around that. And I don't have to worry about breaking it, because it's not my thing that I live out of and travel across the country in. So, yeah.
Just talking to you the other night when we were out together and seeing your car, seeing how you live out of it and everything, it was just man, this is the coolest thing that he's able to do. So we've been doing this segment that we're calling Gone in 60 Seconds. We're going to give you 6 questions. You got 60 seconds. We're going to roll through them.
No explanations.
No explanations. Just fire off an answer.
All right, so I got 60 seconds for all 6, not
all 6. Yeah,
that's 10 seconds a question.
10 seconds a question. We're going to
Okay.
ask them, and you just fire off first answer that comes to mind.
Oof. This gets dangerous. No, it's fine.
It does get dangerous. All right, Zach, you want to start us out?
Yeah. How many Dragon Drives have you attended?
31, I think, or 32, something like that.
Nice. I didn't think you'd be able to answer that question. Next question. What is your favorite event?
Ooh, oh, that's real hard. Oh, that's not fair.
You got 5 seconds.
Big Sky. We'll go Big Sky from last year.
Big Sky. Okay.
All right. Favorite national park?
Oof, Arches.
Okay.
Arches
All right.
National Park. Yep.
What new state are you most excited to travel to this year?
Washington.
What's your favorite state you've been to so far?
Ooh, there's a 2-part answer. Utah and Florida.
Okay.
Interesting.
You get 2
Okay.
answers. Sorry.
All right. So this last question is right up Zach's alley.
Oh yeah.
All right. You're on the road all the time. What is your favorite gas station food?
What's your go-to gas station like? What do you grab? Not just food, like food, drink. What do you grab when you go?
I was
to a
really
gas
hoping
station?
you'd say favorite gas station, not favorite gas
Well,
station.
no, you know what? You can answer that too because I've got a couple. I got like a top 3.
Zach is a gas station food connoisseur.
Oh, I am, dude. We live right by Circle K. I'm there at least once a day, at least.
I'm really trying to cut back on my eating. That's been one thing that Lord's kind of set on, so that kind of makes it a little difficult on the
Okay.
gas station food.
Just tell us your favorite gas station. Yeah.
But the over in New Zealand they have pies in the gas stations, and it's not like what
Interesting.
we think of as pie. It's like a meat pie, and
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
steak and cheese pie over there probably is my favorite gas station food.
Wow.
So
I
Sounds
think,
good.
should we even count that? That's like gourmet gas station
Yeah.
food.
but they have it at like every gas station in
I was
New
talking about
Zealand.
like a
it's
hot
just a
dog on a
complete
roller or
difference.
something.
Yeah.
Like a
I do like
tornado
the Monterey Jack chicken things on
Oh
the
yeah.
rollers.
Oh yeah,
Those
those
are
are
good.
good, man. I just found out
Yeah.
about those recently.
Yeah. Those are
Yeah, those are
good.
good.
Yeah, those
Or-
are good.
But let's be honest here. Bucky's brisket.
Yup.
Yes.
Yup.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or Sheets. Sheets gas station has really good food.
I've never
as well.
been to a Sheetz gas station.
I've only been there to get gas.
Dude, Sheetz-
I've been
you
to
gotta
some in
get food,
Ohio.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
went-
get food at a Sheets.
I've
dude.
never tried food there.
And
Yeah.
Maverick gas stations are really good too.
I think I've never been to a Maverick
Yeah.
gas
Never
station.
been there.
And
Where are
Wawa's.
Mavericks at?
They're out west.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's why we've never been to that.
All right.
Yeah, so like I got a favorite gas station for each region. of the
Region.
United States.
Okay, okay.
That's-
Yeah.
That's kind of where we go. So if we're in the
Well-
Northeast, it's Sheets. If we're in the like South, it's Bucky's. If you're out West, it's Maverick. And then if you're like in between, it's like Wawa's and come and
See,
goes.
I went into a Wawa. Me and my brother took a spontaneous trip to Pennsylvania
Nice.
one time. Like it was before he went to the military. And he's like, let's just go to Philly. And I was like, okay. So we went for a single day. We weren't even in Philly for 24 hours. We went for a single day. It was kind of ridiculous, but it was a great time. But I went into a Wawa there and I didn't get any food. But I saw that they had like a whole, like they got like a big like food, like they make food in there.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
straight up make the food. So it's different. It's definitely a place. I think they're about to build one near us actually. So we'll get
Well,
to try some of it.
When it comes to Bucky's, and I know everybody's going to boo me on this, but I'm almost like our buddy Mark Frisbee.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
don't
beginning
say
to
that,
hate
man.
I'm beginning to hate Bucky's.
Oh.
Just now, their food, I love the brisket.
Yeah.
You know, actually the last couple times I've got the turkey and it was really
Yeah.
good too.
My wife's off camera throwing tomatoes at you because that was a bad answer.
But I just hate the chaos. I mean, there's just so
Look,
many
man, you got to
people, man.
embrace the chaos. Look, okay. I'm not a Bucky's like.
How did we get here?
Well, but you said something about gas stations. Look, I gotta say this, okay? My ranking of gas stations has got to be Bucky's number one, like way up there, so high that is it even considered a gas station? I don't know. It might just be like a superstore.
Yeah.
Then underneath of that, like you drop way down, right there, racetrack,
Racetrack. Okay.
and then
Oh,
under that,
okay.
Circle K. Now
Yeah.
the reason I like racetrack, now I got reasons for this. So first of all, Bucky's, man, when they first built a Bucky's near us, me and my wife went there at like midnight just so that we wouldn't have to be around all the people. But they don't have any of the good food then.
Yeah.
So you got to enjoy the store without all the people, which there's still a ridiculous amount of people there at midnight.
Yeah, it's like 3 a.m.'s the ticket. Just saying.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's weird, but we've gone there so many times, and we're making a trip to North Carolina here in a couple months.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop at the one in Pigeon Forge,
Yeah.
or like near like in Sevierville or whatever.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, but the reason racetrack's number 2, everybody knows why you love Buc-ee's. So the reason racetrack's number 2 is because I got one right by my work, and it's became a problem. It's became a problem.
Oh wow. Well, let's move on from that.
Sorry, I had to rant about the gas station, man. I'm very passionate about gas stations.
I know, that's why
I don't
put
know,
that
I
question
think-
on there.
We got to get him into Sheets though. You got to go and
Yeah.
try Sheets. Dude.
Well,
I'm telling you.
when I go out west, I'll inevitably be out west at least in the next couple of years. I'll get out there and
you got to try the Mavericks out there.
Yeah, the sheets
Mavericks.
are there.
Oh, the
Sheets are northeast.
Yeah.
northeast. Okay.
So you see them a lot in Ohio.
See, I don't go to Ohio.
Yeah. So
I was in Ohio last weekend, and
Well, they're in like New York and Pennsylvania.
yeah.
And like
Okay.
Yeah.
Vermont.
that's
Massachusetts.
just where I've seen them.
See, I don't go
travel
to
around
I don't
Ohio
go to
a lot.
Ohio unless I have to, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
You got against Ohio, man. Gee.
Look, I have things against flat states. I don't like flat states.
Yeah, it is
Oh.
pretty flat.
Well, you aren't
My-
going to like Kansas then.
No,
Well,
Kansas is terrible.
My brother was
What?
stationed in South Carolina for a while, and man, we went to South Carolina all the time. And every time we go there, I tell him how much I hated that state, and he goes, "I do too. I don't want to be here anymore." It's so flat, man. Same with Ohio. It's just such a flat
it gets
state.
boring.
It does. Driving, especially when you got to drive like 10 hours.
South
hate
Carolina,
driving in
10
flat
hours. Oh, come on.
I hate driving in flat states. I love road trips if they're through the mountains. I'll
Brother.
sacrifice the gas mileage if I can go.
You're
up and down
talking to the
mountains.
guy that's getting ready to drive for
Man.
7 months straight.
All right, we gotta hype him up. Flat states are the greatest.
I
Flat
love
states are
flat
so
states.
good.
I actually like them. I love going across Kansas. I'm
Is
a
it
weird
because your
guy.
gas mileage is better?
Man.
Is that
No,
why?
I think it just feels weird, like especially out in Kansas, because like the trees drop away and it's like
Yeah.
dead flat, and you can just see for miles until like the curvature of the earth is just gone, and it feels like you're like it feels like there's nothing that should be holding you on the ground. It's just like it's a weird feeling, and I love
See,
it.
I kind of saw that in Pennsylvania, but I didn't get
Pennsylvania's
any.
got some mountains.
Bro,
Yeah, but where we were at, we drove for 2 straight hours of just complete flatness, and of
Yeah.
course
Yeah,
I
but
had
there
to
were
drive
trees.
while my brother.
Yeah, there was trees.
I don't know. We actually drove out there, and there was just a lot of like fields with like oil rigs out there.
yeah,
like,
but there's
just tons of
trees on
flat
the edge
spots.
of the fields.
Yeah, okay, I guess so.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you got to get out to Kansas. If
So
you've
there's
never
there's
driven
like-
across
there's like-
Kansas, it's a different. There's
No.
a different feeling about it.
I've never been
Nebraska
out
is
Kansas.
similar. Nebraska's
Yep.
similar. to that.
Well, yeah, you're in a valley all the way across. If you're doing I-80 across Nebraska, you're in a valley. Once you get up out of the valley in Nebraska, that's when it gets weird. And then
Yeah.
you get out into like Wyoming. Oh my goodness, that's
I guess I just gotta get out of the
That's
southeast,
weird
man.
stuff.
Yeah,
I just love it. I love it over here, though.
Yeah,
Southeast is nice,
it's
you know,
beautiful here.
very beautiful.
All right, let's wrap this up. So, Jesse, where can we find you at?
yeah. So 3G video on all the social medias. 3G on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Check us out. Subscribe
Whoa.
on YouTube. And then we got 3gvideo.net for the
Yes.
website for all of our
Yeah.
photos and everything. Yep.
Yep, go subscribe to him, guys. He's got really good content. You're going to enjoy it. If you like this podcast, you're going to enjoy his YouTube channel. So get out there and watch it.
For those of you who are watching on my channel, like a month after they've put it on theirs, make sure you go check out Faith Family Cars. So make sure
Thank
you
you.
subscribe to
Thank
them,
you.
and we appreciate. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you
It
coming.
was good. It was a good time.
Yep, Zach,
Oh man. All right, let me try it.
where can they find us at, buddy?
All right, so we put the podcast out every Tuesday, on YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Amazon.
You got it.
I got it. All right.
Nice.
We put clips out on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. We usually do 2 times a week. This week we actually bumped it up a little bit. We had like maybe 3 or 4 clips. So just be
Okay.
on the lookout. We're kind of, most of the time it's going to be like a Monday or a Monday, Thursday kind of thing. But sometimes we'll up it.
We're
and put
ramping
some-
up what we're doing.
Yeah, we're trying to get the more content out there for you guys.
Yep.
There you
So,
go. Awesome.
And so check those out.
Be on the
And-
lookout for those.
Yeah, and when you see the clips, if you haven't watched the podcast, the clips from, go ahead and
Go
go ahead and watch the
Yeah.
podcast. This one we just put out recently was really, really good, and it seems a lot of y'all like it. So check
Yep.
that one out if you haven't. What else?
You can find us at faithfamilycars.com
Oh yeah, you can do that now.
at this point. So
Yeah.
go check out our merch. Go check out what we've got for you guys to show off here. He's got it on. I got the 3G on.
Y'all may not have noticed, but my hair was covering it.
Yeah,
But
to
we've
show off your Faith
Nice.
Family Cars
got a little Faith
stuff,
Family Cars
yeah.
shirt action going on here.
So yeah, go find us at faithfamilycars.com. And if you have questions about salvation, if you got questions about anything you see here on the podcast, or you've got some suggestions for questions for our Bible Talk episodes,
how we can make things better, ways to improve. We're always looking at ways to improve.
You can email us at faithfamilycars@gmail.com. So guys, we appreciate you all watching. Jesse, it's been great having you on.
Thank you.
We love you guys, and we will see you next time.